Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world-famous Rich Wilson Show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rich Wilson Show. We didn't get much of a break there, but hey, anyway, we're here covering live the President's State of the Union address. In fact, I need to bring that up over here in case anybody here has any questions. We're still waiting for it to get going. We're waiting for the announcement that the President is coming to the chamber. And then, of course, after that, we have to deal with him shaking everybody's hands as he walks by. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, like I said, we're going to be covering it. And I'm going to give you my comments live. I'm not going to pause it if I don't have to. At least that's the hope. Oh, not you. Go away. Oh, I hate when you people keep dropping those damn links. Now, unfortunately,
Madam Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
all right, so there we go. The Supreme Court has now walked in. We're still waiting for the announcement of the President. So trust me when I say this, this is probably going to be painful for you guys. I had to make myself a cup of coffee. Oh, I gotta make sure this is closed. That might have been it. There's Jill Biden. Notice I didn't say doctor. You're like, that's Dr. Jill Biden. No comment. He's not going to be that far behind. Trust me. Unless he got lost on the exit ramp.
Madam Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
Hey, look, it's a bunch of people. Don't do shit. You might hear me playing a little bit of audio in the background. Just want to make sure it's not doubling up audio again. heard you need to talk to me. When should I call you? Tomorrow, because I'm not going to talk to you right now. What's going to be interesting is if we get lucky enough that C-SPAN covers the responses. I don't know if they will or not. We'll wait and find out if C-SPAN's going to give the responses. They're using this opportunity to talk to the justices to try and push some things across. That's what that is. Everybody got quiet for a minute. I think they lost the president. He's wandering in the bushes somewhere. Notice there's a few empty seats. Quite a few of the Republicans said they weren't going to be here for this. There's that worthless piece of crap. Sorry, I have no love for Miley. None. Zero. Zilch nada. Was a yes man if ever I seen one. Oh, look, that was that conspiracy asshole. Here it comes.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
He's going to shake everybody's hand.
Let's see, maybe. Let's see, and then I'll get you when he's there.
Okay, good. Now I know that it's not double audio, so I can. He doesn't remember who you are. I'm trying to figure out what they chanting about over there, but you can't hear it because they turned it down. Now you notice somebody might say, where's all the masks? As of midnight last night, no masks required in federal buildings or by federal employees. They've released all the mandates. Notice he didn't shake Barrett or Kavanaugh's hand. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Yay. No, Nancy will not be tearing up the speech.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
There's some booze in there. Like I said, I'll try not to pause it.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justice of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight,
this is where he's going to take credit for all of it.
tonight we meet as Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you. 6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people. And President Zelensky, to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin.
Then why didn't we start sanctions a long time ago?
Countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance.
We knew about this months ago. Why didn't we start then?
And precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth.
No, you
And
didn't.
now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others, even Switzerland.
Even though we're currently
are
buying oil off the
inflicting pain on
Russians
Russia
right now.
and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world
No, he's not.
more than he has ever been.
No,
Together,
he's not.
together,
We're still buying Russian oil right now.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless.
No.
We're choking
His
Russia's
war fund
access-
comes from the sale. A majority of his war fund
choking
comes from the
Russia's
sales
access to
of his
technology
oil.
that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come.
No, it won't.
Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States,
This
I mean it.
this is incorrect on so many levels.
The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
While we're still buying Russian oil, which is helping fund his military.
But let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia.
Wow, you just told
As I've
them
made
that
crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend
we're hurting
every inch of
Russia,
territory
but
that is NATO territory.
we're not going to we're not going to do anything in Ukraine.
Every single
Way to go.
inch.
Awesome. And we're not even really hurting Russia.
And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And
The Ukrainians don't have a long run.
Proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort,
That'll be good for
releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home. But
Not
I
by
know
much.
the news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay.
Oh,
we're
God,
going
here
to be
comes the
okay.
whispering.
When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger.
And Ukrainians dead.
And while it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. we stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never, never weaken the resolve of the free world.
Is it me or did he just say Iranian people? I know he meant Ukrainian.
We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing.
Yeah, that's
so
your
much
fault.
More. I understand, like many of you did. My dad
Oh,
had to
God.
leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Here we go with that
Work.
story again.
Like
Jesus
many
Christ,
where I
how many
grew up in a
times are we going to
family
hear
where
that
the price of
bullshit?
food went up. It was felt throughout the family.
Oh,
It had an
Christ,
impact.
cry me a goddamn
That's
river.
one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis.
And put us into another
Our
one.
efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19 delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk? It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing
I don't know
room.
about you, but I'm paying almost
Unlike the
$800
$2
a month for
trillion
my
tax cut
insurance.
passed in the previous
Just for me.
administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans. The American Rescue Plan.
Oh, that's a load
The
of
American Rescue Plan
garbage.
helped working people and left no one behind.
Oh, that's... Boy, there are so many falsities in that statement.
And it worked. It worked.
No, it didn't.
It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact,
No, you
our economy
didn't.
created over 6.5 million new
No,
jobs just
you
last
didn't,
year.
you lying sack of shit.
More jobs in 1 year.
Oh my God.
Before in the
He
history
is
of the
literally
United
taking
States
credit
of
for
America.
jobs that already fucking existed.
The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that
Oh, my
hasn't
God.
worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told that tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else.
That's not true.
In nearly a century.
Look, that was proven wrong.
Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America, educate Americans, grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know.
My God. And the bad part is they honestly believe this shit.
When the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth. And now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law.
There's
And I thank my
Buttigieg.
Republican friends who joined. to
That fool is
invest
the one person that has no business being transportation secretary. He doesn't know the first thing about
single
transportation.
biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade.
Yes, that cost this country a lot because there was a lot of pork that went to a lot of other places instead of infrastructure in that bill. Congratulations.
Transform America to put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I've told Xi Jinping It's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, modernizing roads, airports, ports, waterways, all across America. And we'll do it to withstand the devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a national network of 500,000
But we'll do it still buying all of our crap from China and not making it on ourselves.
The poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American, rural, suburban, urban, and tribal communities. 4,000 projects have already been announced. Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, we will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500
I like how Nancy's back there smiling, and in her area in San Francisco, they're sleeping on the streets and shitting on the sidewalks.
When we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying America. Buy American products. Support American jobs. The federal government spends about $600 billion a year to keep this country safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end, all of it.
The deck of an aircraft carrier is made in America. It's right there in Virginia.
But folks,
what the?
to compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost 2% of our GDP in research and development. We don't now. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll find 1,000 empty acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams. The ground on which America's future will be built. That's where Intel, the American company that helped build Silicon Valley, is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite. Up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place. 10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about $135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer chips the size of a fingertip that power the world in everyday lives. From smartphones, technology, the internet, technology that's yet to be invented. But that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who is here tonight, I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go, Pat, stand up. Pat came to see me and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from $20 billion to $100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history.
Well, that explains why the price of
All we're
the
waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's
chips
not wait
went
any
up.
longer. Send it to my desk. I'll sign it, and we'll really take off in a big way. And folks, Intel is not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening.
Oh, that would be
Ford is
5,
investing
6 years
$11
ago.
billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan.
Let's hope that doesn't end up like the Volt.
369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone.
Off of what Trump did that you ridiculed him for in the beginning of this speech.
Powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here with us tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says, it's time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing.
He tried to come up with his own statement, just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it.
Record job growth, higher wages. Too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel. I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was
because of
closed.
restrictions they had on them to the point they couldn't get people back.
Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what?
I'm going to have to check that one.
Way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Then lower the cost on goods that they need in order to make stuff. Lower the taxes on those companies so they can bring their prices down.
Make more cars and semiconductors in America. More infrastructure and innovation in America. More goods moving faster and cheaper in America. More jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America.
Here's an idea. Lower corporate tax rates so they have no problem. That's why they're coming back to the country, because Trump had lowered their corporate tax rates. You've raised them back up. It's going to slow the progress down.
Economists call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America. My plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan.
No, they don't.
Here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs.
I mean, don't get me wrong. With the cost of my drugs, I wouldn't mind it.
For the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis. He and his dad both have type 1 diabetes, which means they need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it. What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. You know, yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way. For Joshua and 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. So everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well, their profit margin. While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs. They already set the price for VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second,
How many people had Medicare or got put on Medicare and then had more problems?
An average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump. Folks, third,
She didn't want to stand up and applaud. She doesn't like him.
Living for hard-working folks is cut the cost of child care. Cut the cost of child care. Folks, if you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though. I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan...
And how, one thing I want to know is how the hell are we going to pay for this?
Of child care in half for most families. And
That's what I want to know.
Parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care.
Paul over
more
on the
affordable
chat on
housing.
Facebook says he's totally lying. You know shit, he's lying.
All these will lower costs to families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000.
This is horseshit.
Additional penny in new taxes.
That's a lie.
Not a single penny.
That has been proven over and over again that that's a lie.
I may be wrong.
You are. You were absolutely wrong,
There's
sir.
a secret ballot in this floor that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to fix it. I'm not looking to punish anybody. But let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share.
They already do. The top 1% pays more than 80% of the actual income taxes.
And like Chris Coons and Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. And I still won 36 years in a row. The point is, even they understand they should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes. Now look.
That's also a lie. It's not true.
That's why I proposed a 15% minimum tax rate for corporations. We've got...
And this is why our companies go over Overseas.
In the G7 and other meetings overseas, I was able to be somewhat helpful. 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate. So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas.
Oh, yeah, they will.
It'll raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan, but we'll go in more detail later.
God, that's true. You're not going to go into more detail later because there is no details.
So what are we waiting for? Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes.
I still would like to know if there's anybody out there in the world that could tell me what the fair share means. That would be great, because the top 1% of this country pays over 80% of the total tax debt of the country.
Confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation. My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very wealthy and corporations, it undermined the watchdogs, the job of those to keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? But in my administration, the watchdogs are back. And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans. And tonight I'm announcing that the Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud.
And by the way, the people like the Lakers that got the money that didn't need it was because of the bill that Nancy Pelosi and her cronies put together on the floor.
I think we all agree.
Just so you're aware, that would be the Democrats put that bill together.
Down to less than half of what it was before I took office. The only president ever to cut the deficit by more than $1 trillion in a single year. Lowering your cost also meant demanding more competition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation. It drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what?
I wish McConnell
You
would
got 4 basic meat
not
packing
exist.
facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers and moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. And folks, and as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes, quality in those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure your loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Oh my God, you're going to kill so many jobs with that? I'm sorry.
Child tax credit, so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs.
Oh, let's give people money for simply pumping out units.
Jill, our First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best-kept secret, community colleges. Look, let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to be stopped. When we invest in our workers and we build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time. Build a better America. For more than 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody.
Oh, great. Here we go.
But I also know this. Because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we have been provided by this Congress, tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines. Under the new guidelines, most Americans and most of the country can now go mask-free. And based on projections, more of the country will reach that point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. I know some are talking about living with COVID-19, but tonight I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view.
Here comes the Dr.
First,
Fauci shit.
Stay protected with vaccines and treatments.
Yep.
We know how incredibly effective vaccines are. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection. We'll never give up on vaccinating more Americans. Now, I know parents with kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments.
Pfizer pulled back
If you get
its
COVID-19,
request
the
for
Pfizer pill
authorization
reduces
for
your chances
emergency
of ending up
usage
in
on
hospital
children
by
for a reason.
90%. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world has.
You take
Pfizer's
more
working
pills than anybody in
overtime
the
to get
world
us
does.
1 million pills this month and more than double that next month. And now we're launching the Test to Treat initiative. So people can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost. And folks, if you're immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep. And we've already ordered free tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to covidtest.gov starting next week, and you can get more tests. Second, we must prepare for new variants. Over the past, we've gotten much better at detecting new variants. If necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days instead of maybe months or years. And if
Yeah,
Congress
that's
presides the
thanks to
funds we
warp
need,
speed.
We'll have new stockpiles of tests, masks, pills.
Wonder who
ready if
did that.
needed. I can't promise a new variant won't come, but I can promise you we'll do everything within our power to be ready if it does. Third, we can end the shutdown of schools and businesses. We have the tools we need. It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government. The vast majority of federal workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school.
He's not wrong about that. They need to be in school. Shouldn't have been taking them out in the first place. They were safer there.
75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated, and hospitalizations down by 77%. Most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We achieved this because we provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see you all. And I'm going to soon send a request to Congress The vast majority of Americans have used these tools and may want again. We may need them again, so I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth, we'll continue vaccinating the world. We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries, more than any nation on earth. We won't stop because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans. Look.
Then stop attacking people who disagree with you. That's a start. You could do that. Stop calling people who disagree with you terrorists and white supremacists.
We can't change how to divide.
That would be a start.
It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we must face together. I recently visited New York City Police Department days after the funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera. They were responding
and you blamed it on ghost guns.
When a man shot and killed them with a stolen gun. Officer Mora was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets that they later chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices, and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies. Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
I guarantee you there's one that booed that one, and she's a Democrat.
Fund them with resources and training.
And part of the squad.
Resources and training they need to protect our communities. I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking, of ghost guns.
Oh.
You buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers.
That's
Can't be traced.
only if you do it through the black web, dark web.
Violence. Pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon?
Because
Why?
legally they can't purchase that weapon. But they're on that list because they broke the law, which means they don't give a shit about the law.
High-capacity magazines hold up 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests?
Who the hell's got a 100-round magazine?
That makes gun manufacturers the
That's a
only
drum.
industry in America that can't be sued.
This idiot doesn't know anything about guns.
Imagine had we done that with the tobacco manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives. The most fundamental right in America is the right to vote and have it counted.
To do with it?
And look, It's under assault. In state after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election.
That's a lie.
Tonight I call on the Senate.
You can go back and watch my episode on that. I covered that one in detail.
Pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act.
We don't need a Voting Rights
While
Act.
you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our election. Look.
They're not going to pass that act because then the Democrats will get burnt by that too.
Dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional scholar, retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. Get up, stand, let them see you. Thank you. And we all know, no matter what your ideology, we all know one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court.
That's qualified.
As I did 4 days ago, I've nominated the Circuit Court of Appeals, Ketanji Brown Jackson,
who
one of our nation's top
is one of the most overturned judges in history, federal judges in history.
Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence. A former top litigator in private practice, a former federal public defender, from a family of public school educators and police officers. She's a consensus builder. Since she's been nominated, she's received a broad range of support, including the Fraternal Order of Police and former judges supported by Democrats and Republicans. Folks, if we're to advance liberty and justice, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system. And as you might guess, I think we can do both. At our border, we've installed new technology like cutting-edge scanners to better detect drug smuggling.
How about build the
We've set
wall?
up joint patrols with Mexico and Guatemala to catch more human traffickers. We're putting in place dedicated immigration judges, a significant larger number, so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster, and those who don't legitimately hear can be sent back. We're screening, we're securing commitments and supporting partners in South and Central America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led a generation of immigrants to this land, my forebears and many of yours. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Revise our laws so businesses have workers they need.
We don't really need to revise the laws. We just need to enforce the laws that are on the books.
It's not only the right thing to do, it's economically smart thing to do. That's why the immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all.
How about build the wall?
Folks, advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If
No,
we
it's
want to
not.
go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose.
Roe v.
Continue
Wade
to
is not
advance
under
maternal
attack.
health care for all Americans. And folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families, it's simply wrong. And I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. Folks, as I've just demonstrated, while it often appears we do not agree, and that We do agree on a lot more things than we acknowledge. I signed 80 bipartisan bills into law last year, from preventing government shutdowns, to protecting Asian Americans from still too common hate crimes, to reforming military justice, and will soon be strengthening the Violence Against Women Act that I first wrote 3 decades ago. And it's important. It's important for us to show the nation we can come together and do big things. So tonight I'm offering a unity agenda for the nation. 4 big things we can do together, in my view. First, beat the opioid epidemic. There's so much we can do. Increase funding for prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and recovery. Get rid of outdated rules and stop doctors that stop doctors from prescribing treatments. Stop the flow of illicit drugs by working with state and local law enforcement to go after the traffickers. And if you're suffering from addiction,
How about going after the Chinese?
You know you're not alone. I believe in recovery, and I celebrate the 23 million Americans in recovery. Second, let's take on mental health, especially among our children whose lives and education have been turned upside down. The American Rescue Plan gave schools money to hire teachers and help students make up for lost learning. I urge every parent to make sure your school does just that. They have the money. We can all play a part. Sign up to be a tutor or a mentor. Children were also struggling before the pandemic: bullying, violence, trauma, and the harms of social media. As Frances Haugen, who is here tonight with us, has shown, we must hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit. Folks,
Here's an idea, parents.
thank you.
Unplug your kids.
Thank you for the courage you showed.
Don't give them the opportunity.
It's time to
Then we
strengthen
don't need to pass a
privacy
law.
protections. Ban targeted advertising to children. Demand tech companies stop collecting personal data on our children. And let's get all Americans the mental health services they need. More people can turn for help, and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance.
Oh, my God.
Look, the third piece of that agenda is support our veterans.
Thank you.
Veterans are the backbone and the spine of this country. They're the best of us. I've always believed that we have a sacred obligation to equip those we send to war and care for those in their family when they come home. My administration is providing assistance in job training, housing, and now helping lower-income veterans get VA care debt-free. And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. These burn pits that incinerate waste, the waste of war, medical and hazardous material, jet fuel, and so much more. And they come home, many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world. Never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know. One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden. I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he lived near, that his hooch was near, in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops. But I am committed to find out everything we can.
Don't click on the link that
Committed
just popped up in the
to
chat.
military families like Danielle Robinson from Ohio, the widow of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. He was born a soldier, Army National Guard, combat medic in Kosovo and Iraq, stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games. And they love building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting, and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers. I'm also calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan finally get the benefits and the comprehensive health care they deserve.
Here's an idea. How about anybody who pretty much served in the military just gets to go to the VA and gets medical benefits? That's an idea. Then we don't have to put all these lists together. Just let people who served in this country go to the VA. Period.
And last, let's end cancer as we know it. This is personal. This is personal to me and to Jill and to Kamala and so many of you. So many of you have lost someone you love. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mom, dad. Cancer is the #2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. Last month, I announced the plan to supercharge the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead 6 years ago. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50% over the next 25 years, and I think we can do better than that. Turn cancers from death sentences into treatable diseases. More support for patients and their families. To get there, I call on Congress to fund what I call ARPA-H, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, patterned after DARPA in the Defense Department. Projects that led in DARPA to the internet, GPS, and so much more that make our forces more safer and be able to wage war with more clarity. ARPA will have a singular purpose: to drive breakthroughs in cancer, Alzheimer's and diabetes, and more. A unity agenda for the nation. We can do these things. It's within our power, and I don't see a partisan edge to any one of those 4 things. My fellow Americans,
The VA bill, your veterans bill doesn't do enough.
we've gathered in
Period.
this sacred space, a citadel of democracy, in this Capitol. Generation after generation of Americans have debated great questions amid great strife and have done great things. We fought for freedom, expanded liberty, debated totalitarianism and terror. We built the strongest, freest, and most prosperous nation the world has ever known. Now is the hour, our moment of responsibility, our test of resolve and conscience, of history itself. It is in this moment that our character of this generation is formed. Our purpose is found. Our future is forged. Well, I know this nation. We'll meet the test, protect freedom and liberty, expand fairness and opportunity, and we will save democracy. As hard as those times have been, I'm more optimistic about America today than I've been my whole life, because I see the future that's within our grasp, because I know there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we've faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities. So on this night, on our 245th year as a nation, I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union. And my report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. We are stronger today. We are stronger today than we were a year ago.
No, we're not.
And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time. And we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
Oh, wow. So, a lot of bullshit in that. A lot of bullshit in that. First of all, the VA bill, you know, that's personal to me. The VA information, not enough. Here's an idea. I make it real simple. If I was president of the United States, if you served in this country, okay? If you served in this country, as long as you didn't get a dishonorable discharge, you get VA benefits. Period. Anything. Your entire life. Doesn't matter if it's service connected or not. If you have an illness after you have served this country, you're covered. How difficult is that? But no, there is thousands upon thousands of veterans who don't qualify because they either didn't get put into combat or served in a time where there wasn't combat, or served doing jobs that weren't on the record. All these social, all this social stuff, and then sitting there and saying, oh, you know, this is how we're going to pay for it. We're going to tax the wealthy. The problem is the wealthy, they keep throwing out this, screw that guy, okay? You know, I have no love affair for General Miley. Okay, but anyway, the fair share thing, right? The fair share deal. Still to this day, what the hell is fair share? Okay, please, what is fair share? Because the top 1% already pay over 80% of the nation's tax debt anyway. So what is fair share? You say that we're going to go after them, and then you say that the people that make less than $400,000 will not pay an additional dime in taxes. Okay, fine. If you're not going to raise the taxes on them, the problem is you're going to try to bankrupt the people that own the businesses, and so they're going to have to charge to make back what they had. First of all, everybody likes to pick on Jeff Bezos because Jeff Bezos doesn't pay taxes, right? Jeff Bezos has 97% of his total value in his company. Okay? Everybody's like, he's a multi-billionaire. It's in his company. Okay? When his company has losses, you're allowed to write that off. It's a thing. Elon Musk will tell you and will prove it and will show it to you that he paid a higher amount of taxes than any American in history. He did. So that's crap. We do not need a $15 an hour minimum wage on a federal level. What we need is states to put in minimum wage for the cost of living based on geographical areas. $15 an hour will not work in a town of 40 or 500 people because the cost of living in a town of 500 people in the middle of nowhere does not require $15 an hour. So you're going to bankrupt the small businesses in these small towns, and people are going to have to leave their small towns, not be able to support their small businesses at all, get jobs outside of town, get services outside of town. We need to allow the states to have a minimum wage by region, not the federal government. The federal government does not need that. The federal government has no business being a minimum wage anymore. The federal government needs to tell the states put in a minimum wage based on the cost of living per region, per area. New York needs a $25 an hour minimum wage. $15 minimum wage is not going to help the people in New York City, not going to help the people in Los Angeles, not going to help the people in Houston, not going to help the people in your major cities. It's not going to happen. But if you turn around and tell the states you have to put a minimum wage in based on geographical area and based on the cost of living of that area, then in New York, $25 an hour would happen. Give the states the ability to, in fact, people who are voting, screw the government, forget the government, just start forcing your politicians to put these things into effect locally. Then we don't need them. He said a lot of crap tonight that in all honesty can be solved at the local level. It doesn't need the federal government. And then this, we're going to close, we're going to put a national minimum tax globally. Horse shit. It's not going to happen. I don't know why anybody even thinks that's going to happen. A global national minimum tax so companies don't leave countries. Horse shit. You know why? Because one company is going to turn around and look at this and go, wait a minute. I know how we could put all the jobs in our economy because our economy sucks. We're going to lower our taxes. That way they're going to come here and all of our people are going to have jobs. That's what was going on until Trump said, no, we're making a minimum tax line for everybody in the country. No one will pay more than 20%. Guess what? Companies started coming back. That's why companies were coming back. And now we're going to say, we're going to put a minimum tax rate across the world. So then that way we can raise taxes on corporations and cause them to reduce their size again. And then you're going to get a country that's going to say, well, we're going to reduce our corporate tax, screw that agreement, and we want to put businesses over here because we want jobs. So that's not going to solve the problem. Almost nothing he said tonight is going to solve a problem. He had a couple good points. I'll give him that. I can't say 100% of this was bullshit, but there was a lot of it. There was a lot of it. Now, I don't know if somebody else is doing if they're doing the responses somewhere else. I couldn't tell you right this minute. State of the Union response by Governor Kim Reynolds. That's going to be... But that's not on C-SPAN. All right, as soon as that comes on, I'll bring it to you. There was a lot of crap in that we didn't see. Evidently, Governor Kim Reynolds is going to be the one that does the response. Hopefully, she'll break it down a lot more for you. Like I said, there was a lot of garbage. I'm waiting for C-SPAN to probably cut its coverage. Well, they're not. They're just going to show all the people wanting autographs and crap like that. In fact, I'm just gonna go over here, minimize this, and shut this down. I don't see if they're gonna. I'm looking to see if they're gonna show the response on C-SPAN. I don't think so. So let's see. I was looking at the response. So there's going to be the Republican response. I don't know what to tell you, folks, on this one. But once again, there was a lot of garbage there that there was a bunch of shit didn't even need to be there. A bunch. I'm just, the other part of me is wondering when we're going to, hopefully we don't get both the Democrat and the Republican response at the same time, because that's going to suck. I'm going to move this over here. I'm sure somebody's probably trying to message me about something. I'm hearing my phone over here vibrate like crazy. Because that's what I'm waiting for, is when we're going to see the... Oh, yeah, let me go back to full screen on that. My bad. I apologize for that. So far, I don't see any notification that there's the Democrat response. So I guess they're waiting. Why did that suddenly freeze up?
A thing.
You've stopped him from doing nothing.
Decided
And now
to
you are
make
driving
friends.
him into the arms of China by...
Yeah.
Okay. No, I can't play that because that's Crowder and I don't have permission to do that. So they're just talking. I'll watch it later. See what they had to say. But we're waiting for the GOP response. It's going to be interesting to see what they got to say. Let's just say that. I'm not even 100% certain I want to keep going with this, because there's a lot of things to unpack from that speech. I'm sure Crowder and Poole and all of them did a great job of the fact checking in real time. They have a staff. I could just tell you that they're talking about doing immigration, trying to repair immigration, but they didn't discuss. There's no plan on how we're going to fix what's currently going on at our border. Oh, we put more innovation and technology on the border, but you don't have the backs of the guys that are actually patrolling that border. We saw that last summer about how y'all took shit out of context and then made it and painted them as the complete enemy. You have members of Congress who say that the people that enforce our border laws or try to enforce our border laws, you got members of Congress actually painting them as the enemy. You got one that says that she wants them gone, that ICE can't exist, and that Border Patrol shouldn't exist anymore. There's the same one who thinks we shouldn't even have a border. I'm pretty certain that what's her name? I can't remember her name off the top of her head. Anybody that's watching this show in the chat, please feel free to say. But the congresswoman who still to this day is pushing absolutely defund the police. As soon as he said we don't need to defund the police, we need to fund the police, and I heard a boo, and it was very distinctive. Pretty sure it was her. You know, like I said, and the initiative for green energy, you know, saying that we're going to invest. They're investing in, I love this one. They're investing in General Motors, not Ford, not Not any of the companies that have actually proven the quality of their electric vehicles and their hybrids, which is Ford, Toyota, or which is Tesla, Toyota, and Ford actually has like a decent one. Okay. No, we're going to invest in General Motors, who made the Volt that failed. And then we're going to invest in General Motors, who just came out with the Sierra, the pickup truck, but is unaffordable. And it has the four-wheel steering on it, which we all know that was a problem in their designs, and they had to scrap the four-wheel steering because it wasn't working. And we're going to dump a bunch of money into General Motors. To do what? They said that the cost of automobiles was 1/3 of the inflation. I've got to check that myself. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. So bear with me. I don't think that's accurate. I really don't. Let me get this over here. Let's see. Looking this up right now. Uh-huh. Yep, this is what I'm figuring. That's what I thought. Okay, so not 1/3 of the total inflation in America. That was a lie. So that I just fact checked that one. What they're also including, they roped in a portion of the percentage of the cost of fuel. That's not the cost of the vehicle. That's the cost of operating said vehicle. That's totally two different things. So I didn't think that was right either. When he started throwing that out, that the cost of cars was 1/3 of the total inflation in the country. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay. They roped in fuel costs in that. I apologize if you heard that. They roped in cost of fuel into that. So, folks, no, sorry. Incorrect. Did the cost of cars go up? Yeah, they went up. But was that 1/3 of the inflation? No, it wasn't. The cost of fuel. Yeah. The cost of almost everything. Folks, once again, I told you before, the average person saw a 4% increase on their income. Okay? And people are like, yeah, Biden gave us 4% extra. Inflation went up over 7%. It means that your money has less buying power, even though you got more of it. So you actually have less money. Okay? The numbers say you have more, but the actual value says you have less. And I broke that down. A lot of things went up in price. Inflation was across the board. So to make that comment, and then like I said, again, they sit there and they go, well, we're going to invest in General Motors, all this money into General Motors to make electric vehicles that people can afford. Please explain to me how we're going to do that right now when we have electronics shortages. That is on play, isn't it? Yeah, it's still playing. This is just taking them a while. Pause, play, yeah. We're just waiting. I'm only going to wait for so long, and then I'm going to cut it loose. I'm not going to sit here all day and wait for them to give a response. Sorry, there's so much crap in that was so inaccurate. It was stupid. Don't get me wrong. I agree with him on the cost of insulin. I agree with that. Okay. the cost of insulin, that needs, but here's the thing. Oh, we're going to cap it at $35. Here's an idea. Allow other companies to create insulin and create. You sat there in the speech tonight and said you're a capitalist. And you said capitalism without competition. Well, first of all, capitalism without competition is not capitalism. So you can't say capitalism without competition. It doesn't work that way. Capitalism is, in its very nature, competition. Okay, so that right there is a factual inaccuracy. Why is that not live anymore? Okay, capital or businesses without any kind of competition is no longer capitalism. Capitalism is the market system competing for your dollar, and your dollar goes to who you want, and they become successful. Okay. If you don't have competition, there's a word for that. There's a word for business without competition. Okay. It's after commercials because I'm not watching the commercials. I'm just on the channel. Okay. Dean's over there watching it. So, folks, here's an idea. Put in competition so that insulin companies have to compete. And by competing, they lower prices. I mean, don't get me wrong. For the short term, sure, put a cap on it. No more than, you can't, $35 max. Or here's an idea. Tell the insurance companies they got to cover it. I mean, my God, there we go. I'm shutting up now.
Good evening. I'm Kim Reynolds, Governor of the great state of Iowa. Like you, I just watched the President's address. I listened as the governor of our state, as a mom and a grandmother of 11 who's worried our country is on the wrong track. We're now 1 year into his presidency, and instead of moving America forward, it feels like President Biden and his party have sent us back in time to the late 70s and early 80s, when runaway inflation was hammering families, a violent crime wave was crashing our cities, and the Soviet Army was trying to redraw the world map. Even before taking the oath of office, the president told us that he wanted to, quote, make America respected around the world again, and to unite us here at home. He's failed on both fronts. The disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal did more than cost American lives. It betrayed our allies and emboldened our enemies. North Korea is testing missiles again at an alarming rate. The Speaker of the House recently warned our Olympic athletes not to speak out against China. And now Russia has launched an unprovoked, full-scale military invasion of Ukraine, an attack on democracy, freedom, and the rule of law. Now all Americans must stand united in solidarity with the brave people of Ukraine as they courageously defend their country against Putin's tyranny as they fight for their freedom. But we shouldn't ignore what happened in the run-up to Putin's invasion, waiving sanctions on Russian pipelines while eliminating oil production here at home, focusing on political correctness rather than military readiness, reacting to world events instead of driving them. Weakness on the world stage has a cost, and the president's approach to foreign policy has consistently been too little, too late. It's time for America to once again project confidence. It's time to be decisive. It's time to lead. But we can't project strength abroad if we're weak at home. And that's what I want to discuss with you tonight. The President and Democrats in Congress have spent the last year either ignoring the issues facing Americans or making them worse. They were warned that spending trillions would lead to soaring inflation. They were told that their anti-energy policies would send gas prices to new heights, but they plowed ahead anyway, raising the price at the pump by 50% and pushing inflation to a 40-year high. 4 decades ago, when our nation was last reeling from inflation, I was a young working mom just starting out. My husband Kevin worked days while I watched our girls, and then we would literally switch. We would pass in the yard as he was coming home, and I was leaving to work evenings at the local grocery store. From across that checkout counter, I saw the pain of inflation on my neighbors' faces. I saw what happens when prices rise faster than wages. The Biden administration believes inflation is a, quote, high-class problem. I can tell you, it's an everybody problem. I saw moms and dads' paychecks buy them less and less. I watched working people choose which essentials to take home and which ones to leave behind. And now President Biden's decisions have a whole new generation feeling that same pain.
How are we going to fix it?
When I took the oath of office 5 years ago, I promised Iowans that I would never lose sight of who I was working for, that I wouldn't become detached from the problems they were facing, from the problems that I had faced myself. But you don't have to check groceries to see what high inflation does to people. You just need to step outside of the DC bubble. Talk to Americans about what's on their mind. Ask them, what are your concerns? What keeps you up at night? And they'll tell you. And I can tell you what's not on that list. They won't tell you that spending trillions more and bankrupting their children is the answer to their problems. They won't tell you that we should be paying people not to work. And they certainly won't tell you that we should give billions in tax giveaways to millionaires and billionaires in Democrat-controlled states like California, New York, and New Jersey. But that's what the Biden administration has been pushing for over the last year. And that's all part of Build Back Better.
Yep.
Thankfully, the president's agenda didn't pass because even members of his own party said enough is enough. Well, the American people share that view. Enough is enough. And it's not just with DC spending. Americans are tired of a political class trying to remake this country into a place where an elite few tell everyone else what they can and cannot say, what they can and cannot believe. They're tired of people pretending the way to end racism is by categorizing everybody by their race.
Thank you.
They're tired of politicians who tell parents they should sit down, be silent, and let government control their kids' education and future. Frankly, they are tired of the theater, where politicians do one thing when the cameras are rolling and another when they believe you can't see them, where governors and mayors enforce mandates but don't follow them, where elected leaders tell their citizens to stay home while they sneak off to Florida for sun and fun, where they demand that your child wear a mask, but they go maskless. So you've heard the excuses. They were just holding their breath, but it's the American people who are waiting to exhale, waiting for the insanity to stop. We now live in a country where violent crime is out of control. Liberal prosecutors are letting criminals off easy, and many prominent Democrats still want to defund the police. You know, it seems like everything is backwards. The
Like
Biden
Marsha Blackburn.
administration requires vaccines for Americans who want to go to work or protect this country, but not for migrants who illegally cross the border. The Department of Justice treats parents like domestic terrorists, but looters and shoplifters roam free. The American people are left to feel like they're the enemy. This is not the same country it was a year ago. The president tried to paint a different picture tonight, but his actions over the last 12 months don't match the rhetoric. It's not what he promised when he took office. But it doesn't have to be that way.
I don't think he remembers
There
what
is an
he promised.
alternative. Across the nation, Republican governors and legislators are showing Americans what conservative leadership looks like, what it means to respect the people we serve, to hear them out, to stand up for them and walk alongside them. We know that our problems require bold action, but we also know that bold action doesn't have to mean government action. It's Americans making their own decisions for their own families and future. Republican governors faced the same COVID-19 virus head-on. But we honored your freedoms and saw right away that lockdowns and school closures, they came with their own significant cost, that mandates weren't the answer. And we actually listened to the science, especially with kids in masks and kids in schools. What happened and is still happening to our children over the last 2 years is unconscionable. Learning loss, isolation, anxiety, depression. In so many states, our kids have been left behind, and so many will never catch up. That's why Iowa was the first state in the nation to require that schools open their doors. I was attacked by the left, I was attacked by the media, but it wasn't a hard choice. It was the right choice. And keeping schools open is only the start of the pro-parent, pro-family revolution that Republicans are leading in Iowa and states across this country.
I'm still waiting for how we fix
Republicans
this.
believe that parents matter. It was true before the pandemic, and it has never been more important to say out loud. Parents matter. They have a right to know and to have a say in what their kids are being taught. Families also have every right to live in a safe and a secure community. And that begins with a safe and secure country. But the Biden
How do we get
administration
there?
has refused to secure our border. They've refused to provide the resources to stop human trafficking, to stop the staggering influx of deadly drugs coming into our neighborhoods. They've refused to protect you. With Texas and Arizona leading the way, I, along with Republican governors from several states, have sent resources to the border. And we've actually gone to the border, something that our president and vice president have yet to do since taking office. On the economy, the contrast couldn't be more stark. While Democrats in D.C. are spending trillions, sending inflation soaring, Republican leaders around the country
Dean, I'm waiting for
are
it to.
balancing budgets and cutting taxes, because we know that money spent on Main Street is better than money spent on bureaucracy.
Okay, so we're balancing budgets
Today,
and
I
cutting
signed
taxes.
legislation that eliminates Iowa's tax on retirement income and sets our tax rate at 3.9%. That's less than half of what it was just 4 years ago. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that out of the top 20 states with the lowest unemployment rates, 17 have Republican governors. Republicans may not have the White House, but we're doing what we can to fill the leadership vacuum. And on the issues that are affecting Americans, Republicans are leading. We're standing up for parents and kids. We're standing up for life. We're keeping our communities safe and thanking those in uniform. We're fighting to restore America's energy independence, and that includes biofuels. We're getting people back to work, not paying them to stay home. Most of all, we're respecting your freedom. Behind me stands Iowa's Capitol, where we display our state motto, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. And those aren't just empty words. It's a belief that the greatness of this state and this country lies in our people, not government. You shouldn't have to wake up every morning and worry about the next thing the government is going to do to you, your business, or your children. If we as elected leaders are doing our job, then the government is working well, but operating in the background. It's supporting the ingenuity and spirit of our people, not drowning them out. It's keeping them safe, not restricting their freedom. That's what I believe, that's what Republicans believe, and that's what Republicans are doing. I am so blessed to be the governor of Iowa, where people are humble, hardworking, and patriotic. We take care of each other. And yes, we are, as they say, Iowa nice. But you don't have to be from Iowa to see that those are the values of America at its best. All of America. Over the last few years, I've put my faith in Iowans, and they haven't let me down. I encourage this president to do the same, to put his faith in you, the American people, who have never wavered in your belief in this country, regardless of who leads it. Because you know, you've shown that the soul of America isn't about who lives in the White House.
Yeah, Dean, you're right. I so badly want to go, cool story, bro. Where's the answers?
Step up and take responsibility.
What's the plan?
For your communities, for your neighbors, and ultimately for yourselves. By that most important measure at least, the state of our union is indeed strong. Thank you. God bless.
There was
you,
literally no
the United
answers.
States of America.
Nothing. Here's the problems. This is what the president hasn't done. This is what the party wants to go forth and fix. There was nothing. Republicans have this problem. They come out, they tell you that, well, this is a problem, and this guy doesn't do this, and this guy doesn't do that. But then they don't even give you an answer, a plan. There's no response. There's no plan to this. And it's just like, what the hell did we just wasted our time because there was literally nothing. There was no answers. There was no plan, no nothing. I waited, and you waited with me for that to get nothing out of that. Oh. It's nuts. Oh, stop playing that. I'm looking to see where the Democrat response is to see if it's the GOP response. Still GOP response. Let me see. Not what I wanted to do. Let's see. Okay.
I'm honored to be here and grateful
Here it
that
is.
you are tuning in. I'm Gretchen Whitmer, the 49th governor of the great state of Michigan. Tonight, I'm at my daughter Sherry and Sydney's public school, East Lansing High School. We're here today with families and parents, teachers, and most importantly, students. I want to thank you all for coming, but tonight I'm going to talk to those of you who are watching at home. I'd need a lot more than 10 minutes to respond to what the president just said. So instead of talking about what he is saying, I'm going to highlight what Democrats are doing. After all, you can listen to what someone says, but to know the truth, watch what they do.
Let's hope this ain't another cool
Michiganders
story,
are
bro.
no different from Americans everywhere. We love our families and want a good life today and a better life tomorrow for our kids. We work hard, and we expect our government to work hard for us as well. We have grit and value loyalty, and we still root for the Detroit Lions. We and all Americans might be weary of today's politics, but we must stay engaged. Our country, our democracy, our future demand it. We're capable of great things when we work together. We cannot forget that despite the dishonesty and division of the last few years, and that we heard tonight from the President of the United States, together we have boundless potential. And young Americans are proving that every day by taking action, That's what I want to focus on tonight. Monty Scott is 13 years old and lives in Muskegon Heights, Michigan. Monty Street was covered in potholes. They were ankle deep, and he got tired of waiting for them to get fixed. So he grabbed a shovel and a bucket of dirt and filled them in himself. During my campaign, people told me to fix the damn roads because blown tires and broken windshields are downright dangerous. And car repairs take money from rent, childcare, or groceries. And we, the Democrats, are doing something about it. In Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker passed a multi-billion-dollar plan to rebuild their roads and bridges. Governor Phil Murphy is replacing lead pipes in New Jersey. All across the country, Democratic leaders are rebuilding bridges, fixing roads, expanding broadband, and cleaning up drinking water. Everyone in this country benefits when we invest in infrastructure. Congressional Democrats have presented proposals to keep us moving forward, but President Trump and the Republicans in the Senate are blocking the path. When it comes to infrastructure, Monty has tried to do more with a shovel and a pile of dirt than the Republicans in D.C. have with the Oval Office and the U.S. Senate. Bullying people on Twitter doesn't fix bridges. It burns them. Our energy should be used to solve problems. And it's true for healthcare too. For me, for so many Americans, healthcare is personal, not political. When I was 30, I became a member of the sandwich generation. That means I was sandwiched between two generations of my own family for whom I was the primary caregiver. I was holding down a new job, caring for my newborn daughter, as well as my mom at the end of her brain cancer battle. I was up all night with a baby, and during the day, I had to fight my mom's insurance company when they wrongly denied her coverage for chemotherapy. It was hard. It exposed the harsh realities of our workplaces, our healthcare system, and our childcare system. And it changed me. I lost patience for people who are just talk and no action.
So far, that's all you're doing.
As a state senator, I worked with a Republican governor and legislature to expand health care coverage to more than 680,000 Michiganders under the Affordable Care Act. Today, Democrats from Maine to Montana are expanding coverage and lowering costs. In Kansas, Governor Laura Kelly is working across the aisle to bring Medicaid coverage to tens of thousands. In New Mexico, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham enshrined ACA protections into law. Every Democrat running for president has a plan to expand health care for all Americans. Every one of them has supported the Affordable Care Act with coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. They may have different plans, but the goal is the same. President Trump sadly has a different plan. He's asking the courts to rip those life-saving protections away. It's pretty simple.
Hold on,
Democrats
time
are
out.
trying
This
to
is the
make your
wrong
healthcare-
one. I just saw that. I apologize, folks. As soon as she mentioned that, I looked in. Nope. I apologize. I had the wrong one. The Democrats are not live yet. I do apologize for that. As soon as she said that, I was like, oh shit, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Why does that not sound right? And because it literally told me it was live, but live was in the description. So I do apologize, folks. That's my bad on that. Sorry I wasted your time on that moment. That was a whoops. So as soon as she said Donald Trump like that, I was like, oh, what? Why are we doing? And then it was like, oh shit. I apologize. So far, let me talk about the Republican response. It was story time. It was literally, that's what it was. It was story time. Republicans didn't say, it didn't give us a plan. They didn't put anything out that was going to do anything. They didn't tell us squat. Nothing. In fact, I tell you what, I'm probably gonna have. I know who I'm gonna have to go through to see it. It's probably gonna have to be Fox. That's that. Actually, what I can do is just go over to them and just go to their channel directly, and then I'll know.
Realization is that you can go to.
Okay. I'll just. Good. They've got it.
Far with all of this.
They got it blacked out, so I can't see it, which is good. But once again, like I said, it was literally story time. I don't know when we're gonna get the Democrat response. I think we're
weatherizing our windows, which is incredibly important, and EVs. But we really need to hear more, I think, about mass transit, trains, high-speed rail, and renewable energy.
I think we got
Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, one of the things that you were just
Oh God,
talking
no
about
way.
was the
No way.
president's,
No way. No way am I gonna let that no. God, no. Sorry. I apologize. No way. You're not getting Rachel Madcow. Just no. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. There's not even I'm not even hearing a schedule for the Democrat response. Is anybody else out there seeing a schedule for the Democrat response at all? Because I'm not seeing it. It's supposed to be. I know Rashida Tlaib is going to be one of them, and I can't remember who the other one is. Because there are actually going to be two of them. I'll just put this on.
Disorganized, normally in a.
I'll just mute it. Then as soon as I see that they're gonna talk about it, then I'll. Because the cool part about YouTube TV doesn't allow it for rebroadcasting, which I'm perfectly cool with because I don't want to rebroadcast live channels. But yeah, I'm not putting Rachel Madcow on shit. Just not happening. I don't know how long I'm going to wait for this, for this response. I mean, we can listen.
We have discussed and create a level of chaos, to be sure, and then move combat operation forces into the sea. This will take some time because...
that's General Jack Keane. Great guy. I've met him. Wonderful person to talk to. Talk your ear off about anything. You give him half a chance, he will. He'll talk your ear off about everything. What I'd probably do is just put this, I'll just keep this way because of course they'll go to you'd think by now they would have announced a Democratic response, at least schedule, or at least it would be up. I don't see it. I don't know when they're going to do it. I'm going to sit here and listen to see if Brett Baer talks about it.
Watching our Fox News coverage of the State of the Union address and the Republican response.
The general doesn't know the answer, then I give up.
But just go get him.
Go get him. A special edition of Sean Hannity is next. Good night from Washington.
Evidently, we're not going to get a Democratic response tonight. Evidently not. there's not going to be one.
His big speech is officially over, and despite his claims, the state of our great union is not strong, not even close. In fact, well,
I guess we're not going to get one. I'm going to do a quick Google search over here and find out. Let's see. The National Enquirer says, well, I don't even know why I'm looking them up. That's the Philadelphia Inquirer. Want to buy followers, primes, and viewers? Your follows. No. Rashida Tlaib, a planned response on Tuesday night by Rashida highlighted a rift in the party. She already gave one? When? Says they already did this? Is there a link? I wanted to hear this. Where's the link to this? Michigan Progressive says speech will support Biden, but Josh Gadamer calls it massively counterproductive. I guess it's already been pre-done and they'll just put it out there. I don't know, because there's literally there's no speech for it. Let me look it up on YouTube and see if there's a... When? Go away.
I have been taking care of people all my life. My service in Congress is guided by my roots.
Okay, so evidently she did.
Guided by my roots. That's why I'm committed to standing up for our communities that just want the opportunity to thrive. In the richest country in the world, it shouldn't be this hard for so many to have a good life. Tonight, I am proud to deliver a response on behalf of the Working Families Party. The Working Families Party is a voice for the multiracial working class, fighting for a nation that cares for all of us. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm also part of the Working Families Party because I believe that our government must put the needs of working families first. In difficult times, we must never lose sight of each other's humanity. 2 years ago, we couldn't have imagined a pandemic that has taken nearly 1 million lives here at home and nearly 6 million across the world. It also threw tens of millions of Americans, our neighbors, out of work, and it exposed our inhumane, profit-driven healthcare system as our essential workers were pushed to the breaking point and hospitals ran out of beds. When President Biden took office just over a year ago, he took action. He started getting shots in arms. He acted quickly to deliver emergency relief.
What?
Congress approved direct relief checks. We helped our working parents. We stopped evictions. We sent resources to our schools and our local and state governments.
Who started that?
We showed the potential of an administration and Congress that can act together at the scale of the challenges we all face. We showed how our government can be in the service of the working class majority, not just the wealthy few. And it worked. President Biden and Congress stopped what could have been an economic free fall. Not a single Republican, not one, voted for the relief package. We created 6 million new jobs.
No, you
I'm
didn't.
inspired.
That's
see
a
empowered
fucking
workers
lie.
Demanding fair wages, stronger benefits, and human dignity. After the emergency response, we had a chance to do so much more. So when President Biden laid out the visionary Build Back Better agenda to create an America where we all have an opportunity to thrive, people got excited. We had a chance to begin to address decades of rising inequality and injustice. President Biden's Build Back Better brought people together. We saw for the first time people who want to see childcare in the same room with those combating climate change. Folks working on housing justice in the same room as those working on health care. The President did that. Build Back Better did that. Build Back Better increases access to health care and lowers prescription drug costs. It funds home and community-based care for our elders and people with disabilities. Each of these investments would be life-changing. It also fights climate change with major investments in clean renewable energy, green jobs, and clean water.
Green jobs, which we still don't have.
It would uplift our nation by preserving and building affordable housing and investing in our children and families with affordable childcare, universal pre-K, paid leave, and free community college.
Who in the hell is paying for the free
Popular
college?
Investments that would be paid for by making the wealthy and giant corporations pay their fair share.
What is fair share?
No one fought harder for President Biden's agenda than progressives. We rallied together with our supporters, held town halls in our communities, engaged new people, and we even played hardball in Congress. But two forces stood in the way. A Republican Party that serves only the rich and the powerful, and just enough corporate-backed Democratic obstructionists to help them succeed.
There's the mansion
Some
hit.
important parts of the president's agenda became law with the infrastructure bill, but we campaigned on doing even more. Roads and bridges are critical, but so are childcare and prescription drugs, and we shouldn't have to choose. People like India Beckham, a mother of 7 children in my district, who is the sole provider for her family. The expanded child tax credit helped her catch up on bills and meet her family's basic needs. But now that lifeline is gone, and we can't give up on her and millions of people like her. With the majority of the Build Back Better agenda stalled, Mr. President, our work is unfinished. But we are ready to jumpstart
This lady's
our work
delusional.
again. We still have time to lower costs for working families and preserve a livable planet for our grandchildren, but we must act now. The super rich got richer during the pandemic, while Ms. Beckham and others face higher costs and new barriers that will forever
Higher
alter
costs
their children's
because of the amount of money you dumped into the system and fucked the economy and raised inflation.
Corporate donors don't drive healthcare, climate, education, and poverty policies, where the working families of our nation really call the shots. It's time. It's time we had a majority in Congress to fight for us.
You have a majority in Congress, and you
are,
fucked the country
where
up.
you're from, most of us want the same things: a good paying job, a safe community, clean air and water, good schools, and a brighter future for our families. Enough to thrive, not just survive. So what would a working family's majority do? We'd work with President Biden to deliver for you and your family. We'd guarantee healthcare as a basic right, because after 2 years of this pandemic, we can't allow corporate profits to determine who lives and who dies. We'd stand up to big pharma and insurance companies, and we'd make drug prices for life-saving medicine like insulin actually affordable. And we'd make abortion care a fundamental right so that no Supreme Court could ever take it away. We'd pass the End Child Poverty Act that Representative Mondaire Jones and I introduced so that parents like India Beckham and millions more could provide for the basics that every child
Abortion
needs
care,
to thrive.
a right.
We'd fight. We'd fight together for respect for all of our workers. That means a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour that rises with inflation. The freedom to
Well,
join
at
a
this
union
rate, by the
without
end of the
harassment
year,
or
minimum wage will be $7,000.
Paid family medical leave for our workers.
You're a fucking delusional lady.
From the baristas at home in my home community in Great Lakes Coffee, to the teachers in Minnesota, to the Amazon workers in Alabama. Workers are speaking up for a voice and dignity on the job. I saw what a union meant for my family growing up, as my father was a member of the United Auto Workers. This smile is because of the UAW. They ensured that our family had access to dental care. So this is our time. This is our time to take on corporate polluters who get rich poisoning us, and we fight for environmental justice. With the Green New Deal, we rebuild our country by creating millions of union jobs in the clean energy industry.
The Green New Deal is going to cost this country
Imagine
several $100
Belt
trillion.
into that Green Belt that is a center of American jobs and innovation for the next century. And we'd ensure clean air and water, because I know we can't build back better if our children can't live healthy lives.
Yeah, why don't you go after the number one polluter in the world, and that's China, and you stop them too.
Which have left 500,000 Americans homeless on any given night, and millions more struggling to pay the rent. That means building millions of accessible, new, affordable homes and providing long overdue rental, down payment, and home repair assistance. We would provide a real
social
path to citizenship
welfare
for our people
programs
who want nothing more than to contribute to our nation. We would transform our broken immigration system into one where immigrants are welcomed, not vilified. Over the past
Here's an
few
idea,
years,
come here
we have
fucking
all watched from
legally.
afar as Russia launched an illegal and unjustifiable invasion of Ukraine. We stand with the people of Ukraine. The United States and our allies must work together towards an immediate ceasefire and a diplomatic resolution to help save lives. We must pursue targeted sanctions that put pressure on Russia's billionaires, not the everyday Russians who have no choice in this conflict and are courageously
Well, at least they're going to
protesting the war as
globally
we
attack
speak.
billionaires and make them pay their
We
fair
need a
share too,
humanitarian
evidently. Whatever the
response to
fuck
this crisis.
fair share means.
We must welcome Ukrainian refugees from all walks of life to the United States. And I know we can't seek peace by continuing to spend $750 billion every year on weapons of war, making defense contractors and companies wealthier. We must put human rights and dignity first and prioritize cooperation and
How the
diplomacy
fuck do you think
to
we
address the
maintain what
challenges
we
that
maintain?
no one nation can confront alone, like pandemics and climate change. Nothing is more important than keeping the people we love free from harm.
This lady's fucking
We all
delusional.
deserve to be safe in our neighborhoods. The path to community safety is investing in what people need to thrive, like access to jobs, quality education, and real opportunities. We can't police away homelessness, poverty, or mental health crisis in our country. Care, not more criminalization, is how we ensure lasting safety for all. And we should end the war on drugs, fund legal defense, and enact criminal justice reforms like ending qualified immunity that would transform our discriminatory legal system. And we should add a justice for working people to the Supreme Court by confirming Ketanji Brown Jackson without delay.
The most unqualified
Over the
human
last 2
being
years,
to get
the
nominated.
richest people in America doubled their wealth. As profits skyrocketed, corporations have the nerve to blame inflation while increasing prices on essential goods and services. This is
Because
more
there's
than simply
more, you
corporate
dumped
greed.
billions of dollars into the market, making it
We
less
need to tax
valuable.
billionaires and mega corporations that dodge their fair share. And we need to fight
Again,
back
what the fuck is fair share?
against unchecked corporate power that increasingly shape our lives.
The more this lady talks, the more
Those
pissed off I'm
policies I
getting.
named, they are popular. But we have a system that makes it too easy for elected officials to answer to donors instead of their constituents. Disproportionate representation in the Senate distorts the democratic will of the people. The filibuster, a tool perfected to defend Jim Crow, continues to be used to block progress. We must abolish it in the Senate, like the House did more than a century ago. Republicans are trying to destroy our political power of working class families, and they're willing to tear down our
They
democracy.
use the word power.
They say the violent insurrection on January 6th is, quote, legitimate political expression, and that corporate super PAC spending dominating our elections is just free speech. The Republicans
By the way,
act like the real
dumbass,
danger to our democracy is having enough
corporate
voting booths in
shit
black
helps
neighborhoods,
Democrats too.
mail-in ballots, fair district lines. If we really want a democracy that responds to the will of the people, then we need voting rights protection and democracy reforms immediately.
You mean you want to restore the
While we continue
republic?
building support in
Because that's what we are.
President Biden can use his executive power now to take action, to deliver for the people. He can cancel federal student loan debt, which would be a lifeline for millions of Americans and a transformative economic stimulus. And he can ban federal fossil fuel leasing, drilling, direct federal agencies to reject permits for new fossil fuel projects, and
causing the
regulate
cost of fuel to
carbon
skyrocket
emissions.
and the cost of
He can
everything that
fix
requires a
our
petroleum
labor
product
rates
to
right now
skyrocket.
to allow more workers to access overtime pay. And he can change how we calculate the poverty line so that more Americans become eligible for life-saving federal benefits.
Yes, because we want everybody
And he can
stuck
take action
sucking
to
the
break up
tits of the
pharmaceutical
government.
monopolies that make life-saving medicines affordable.
They don't want people to get
midterm
off on their own.
elections are coming
They
up
want people
fast.
sucking the tits
And
of the
this year,
government. That's
we
what they
can
want.
elect working families majority we all need. We know what happens when the Republicans take power. They protect the rich, target the rest of us. They attack and undermine voting rights, women's rights, workers' rights, immigrants, people of color, and our LGBTQ community, and they block progress on climate change. So if you voted or knocked on doors or donated in
Okay, so
2020 to
basically
defeat
all
Trump,
Republicans are
I
just
implore you,
racist, white
pay
supremacists,
attention,
Nazi, whatevers,
because this year is just as
which is
important,
untrue.
and we need everybody to help.
And the voting...
Knocking the far right is just not enough.
Ugh.
We also need to elect the next generation of working families champions. It starts with staying engaged in voting in every election and every primary for candidates who will put working people first. I know that we can get closer to the world we all deserve when we build a bigger movement. Bring people in, not cast them out. I was taught by a pastor in Detroit that we aren't a country that is divided. We are disconnected. We must connect.
We
on
are
the dreams we
divided.
have for our children, the hope
Because of
we have
lunatics
for our
like you
communities, and
pushing
so
a
much more.
narrative that's not true.
When we connect with one another, building our solidarity, we can outwork the hate and show that the very people, show them that who basically want to ensure that we never have a seat at the table. We can show them that we aren't going anywhere.
Because
I'm
we're
not
going to
gonna
take
think
it by
that
force
people
by
don't.
changing the laws until it
place
only
you call
benefits
home.
us and us alone.
For me, it's my two boys, my family, the communities I represent. Who is it for you? That's who you're fighting for. And I want for them what we want for all Americans.
I'm trying to fight for everybody
The
to keep
opportunity
you
to
from
thrive and
existing.
flourish. A country where no one person's dream is too big to become a reality. I know it's possible when we all come together. So if you're ready to be part of our movement, join us.
No.
Join us by texting
Because
WIN-WIN.
your movement
to
is
30403.
psychotic.
Working families are the majority. Together, we will win a nation that can truly stand up for all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me.
The bad part is I
Have a
can't.
wonderful
If
night.
this was satire, I couldn't make this shit up. That is the most insane thing I've ever watched.
Let's hear it for Representative Rashida Tlaib.
Let's not.
Well, we'd love to hear what you think in the chat. What was the thing you were most excited to hear?
Her shut up. That was the most excited thing I heard.
put it in there.
She shut the fuck up.
Before we close tonight, I want to
Nobody wants to hear what you got to say. Really, seriously. I don't even know where PBS found you. Oh my God. I seriously. Can you all just can any of you believe what we just watched is reality? That's reality. Way more social welfare programs. So we don't want people. They say they're the Working Families Party or whatever the hell that bullshit means. But they want to give you even more social programs to make sure that you are constantly reliant on the government instead of giving you a pathway to get off of that reliance to succeed on your own. That was probably the most insane thing I have ever seen. Holy crap. It's so insane. My brain is breaking. We want to end drilling. End drilling. Okay, so we want fuel to be $90 a gallon, and the cost of this cell phone right here, which is 90% petroleum-based products, and that's a cheap one. That one I got for $100, right? That's going to be $1,000 phone when your iPhone is going to end up costing you like 10 grand. Oh, we're just going to stop. Okay, first of all, the number one polluting country in the world is China. I did not hear you in a single statement say that you would go after them. Not once. All I heard you say, this is what I heard you say. Republicans are destroying the world. Republicans are racist. Republicans are white supremacists. Republicans are killing people. This is what I heard. And then I heard in response, this is how we're going to fix it. You're going to become reliant on the government. We're going to tell you how to live your life. We're going to do this. We're going to do that for you. Folks, that is fucking communism. We want one party in power. We want to change the law so only that one party is in power. Communism. We want you to be completely and 100% reliant on the government. The government will determine that. This is what she said. I'm not even stretching it. That's the sad reality of this. Somebody could go, oh, well, you're just a typical Republican. Horse shit. I'm not even stretching it. By the way, I'm an independent. I'm not even trying to stretch it and have make-believe time here. And by the way, I'm pissed off that they put the governor of Iowa up there and all we had was story time in Iowa. No solutions there either. But then we get this yahoo who just shacked up in the wacko basket. And the worst part is there's nobody that wrote that speech. She came up with that shit out of her head because there is no intelligent human being on earth that would literally write that speech and expect it to fly. This is the squad. By the way, just in case you're wondering, she's the spokesperson. She tonight got to be the spokesperson of the squad because a couple 2 years ago, it was AOC. Then last year was a different one. Now it's her turn. Okay. Now it's her turn. This is nuts. Folks, somebody needs to contact her somebody needs to get a Republican that actually has a boy or an independent that has a real mission and a real plan and run against her in her area and get her the hell out of there. That was just absolute lunacy. I lost brain cells with the amount of anger that was going through my head and the stupid shit she was saying. Okay, first of all, let's get one thing straight. And Biden said it tonight and Tlaib said it tonight. They did not create 6 million jobs. Okay? Stop that bullshit. And don't let anybody say that they did. They didn't. They were jobs that already existed. I'll give them credit for about 480,000 jobs. Maybe let's just even it out. 500,000 jobs. I'll give Biden credit for 500,000 jobs. 500,000, fine. But 5.5 million jobs that already existed and were shut down during the pandemic and came back after the pandemic sanctions started to get released and started to get lightened until they were gone. They did not create 6 million damn jobs. The economy is shit because in this system, when you put too much money into the system, you lower the buying power of the money, which causes prices because prices go up. This right here, okay? This costs $3, okay? But if I dump trillions of dollars into the market, this will cost way more. Why? Because it's not worth what it was yesterday. It's worth less. Meaning it takes more money to buy it. Actually, it's a little more complicated than that. But still, you get the point. They want to dump more money into the system, which will drive inflation even higher. They want to tax these people. Yet nobody says what the fuck the fair share is. We've been asking that question for well over a decade. What is fair share? When the top 1% in this country pays over 80% of the total tax bill. Over 80% of the total tax bill paid by the top 1%. They're paying more than half. What is fair share? Please answer that question. They don't have an answer to that question. This is nuts. This is absolutely crazy. This is absolutely nuts. I can't believe it. Folks, I'm going to end it here because I have not eaten in a while and I need to eat. And I'm also thirsty and I've ran out of beverages. So nobody said how they're going to fix the problem. You're right, Dean. No one said how they're going to fix the problem. Talib said they're just going to dump a whole bunch of money into it and they're going to put a whole bunch of government programs into place. That's literally what they said. By the way, I'm willing to bet because her state is a Democrat-run state. She talked about how the little kid filled the hole with potholes because he got tired of running over the potholes. How much you want to bet a Democrat inspector came out and fined the kid for filling the potholes without proper permits or without the correct without the approved materials because of regulations. Half of the reason why a lot of our shit is all tore up is because of Democrat regulatory rules. Shit started getting fixed when the last guy, that guy that everybody hates, started removing these limitations to allow people to do what they needed to do. I don't know. I'm like Super Dave. I'm not sure how much faith I have left in this. If this is what's coming up, God help us all. All I heard was division in that. I didn't hear anything about unity. I heard that it's everybody else's fault. You're a freaking congresswoman. It's your fault. I don't. Story time. That's what we got tonight. All of it. Story time. It's crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a good night. I really do. I had just 2 hours and 30 minutes, and we are no better off than we were. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a good night tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow on the next show. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I really don't. Maybe we'll talk more about this. Who the hell knows? God. That was the craziest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. Seriously. God help us all. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, Dave, I am sorry I kept you here so late, buddy. Go home. Go get out of here. All right, for everybody here at the show, I'm Rich Wilson. I'm the hell out of here. I got to go get something to eat, and I got to go have a smoke. I'm going to smoke like half a pack of cigarettes now. Oh, you guys, we'll see you later. Have a good night. Dean, Dave, everybody that was in the chat room, thanks a lot. Whoever the hell you people were that kept trying to put spam websites in the chat over here and YouTube, and the Narcata who Naricadita who wants me to purchase followers. That sounds like slavery or some shit. I don't know. Anyhow, folks, you guys have yourselves a good night. We'll see you later. I'm out of here. Peace. Don't let others determine who you are, especially the freaking federal government who wants to dictate what you do. All right. Stop vacating.